Good evening, I'm Pinky Webb. Tonight we ask the questions, we tackle the issues, we clarify matters, and we get on point. Last month's Pulse Asia survey results show former President Rodrigo Duterte's arrest apparently influencing voters' preferences for the senatorial race. The latest Social Weather Stations or SWS survey, however, reveals 9 administration bets will likely win the senatorial elections. Even critics noticed Vice President Sara Duterte's change in strategy by previous non-endorsement of candidates to public show of support to possible senatorial judges in her upcoming impeachment trial in July. With father and daughter facing their own trials, will the administration still get the upper hand in the upcoming polls? Let's get on point with political strategist Lito Banayo. He joins us here in the studio. Sir Lito, good to have you. Maraming salamat po sa inyong oras.
Maraming salamat din, Pinky. It's an honor to be in your program that launched a senatorial inquiry into the rendition of former President Duterte.
Okay, so we're talking about that interview with the DILG secretary. I want to first talk about the overall picture here. Looking at the trust and performance rating of President Bongbong Marcos, this was, of course, this came out, this was released last week. This is the Pulse Asia survey conducted March 23 to 29. That's about more or less 2 weeks after the arrest of the former president. Approval rating and trust rating of President Bongbong Marcos down by 17 points from 42 to 25 approval, and trust likewise 42 to 45. In contrast, isasama ko na po to, Sir Lito, VP Sara's approval up 52 to 59, and trust 53 to 61. Overall picture, why did this happen?
You will notice, even in the earlier surveys, both were going down. And BBM's numbers are going down a bit faster than Sara's numbers. But when the incident in The Hague, when they surrendered President Duterte to the ICC, there was a big drop in the 17-point drop, down to 25%, while Sara got a windfall from that. So yung nawala kay BBM, mukhang nag-migrate kay Sara out of sympathy. Now, I was also surprised by those numbers. So I looked at previous Pulse Asia numbers, and they showed that President, in the same period, March 2025 versus Duterte's March 2019 versus Pinoy's February 2013 and Arroyo's March 2007.
Okay.
Puro midterm elections ito, no? Marcos is down to 25%, but Duterte was 87% during that period.
Yeah.
Aquino was 68%, also quite high. GMA was 30%. So I was surprised at that. I always thought GMA was always the lowest, among all presidents. But tinalo pa niya sa 30% versus 25%. So this is really public sentiment. This is a show of emotion. And one must remember that the average Filipino voter votes according to his emotions, according to his sentiments. Or in the absence of such, according to the popularity of the individual candidate. So meron talagang resentment against the present government. Now, yung slow drop before, yung dati, baba ng baba, could be linked to inflation, high unemployment, the usual economic factors, the quality of life, and the cost of living. But itong nangyari sa The Hague, ito nangyari sa ICC, biglang yung resentment na yon umakyat to anger against the government. And that is the result.
So if this survey was taken, you think prior to the arrest and turnover of the president, we're not going to see this big a drop in the President's trust and performance
yes.
ratings. That's what you're saying.
Yes, yes,
Dahil nangyari po
definitely.
ito 2 weeks, ang sinasabi nyo, ito yung naging sentimiento
Ito yung,
ng publiko. Let's say that the President is obviously still doing his job, as mentioned a while ago by the Undersecretary Claire Castro. She was basically saying that the President remains unbothered by this because he continues to do his work. Do you think that the President should be unbothered by this, or should he be bothered by this? Bothered to the point that he should do something about it?
Yes, definitely. He should be bothered. No? I mean, I think, alam mo, yung whistling in the dark, yung kay Undersecretary Claire Castro na yun, no? The truth is he must be bothered. And even his senatorial candidates are bothered by this, no? Because it really impacts on their winnability in these midterm elections. Now, the question is, what can you do in 3 weeks? No? What can you change the price of rice in 3 weeks? No? Can you change the price of pork and all other food commodities in 3 weeks? No? This has been, in fairness to him, it's not only because of him. It's been a result of neglect of the agricultural sector for far too long. Pero ngayon sa
From
kanya...
previous administrations.
From previous administrations, no? Pagkatapos ngayon sa kanya, sinalo niya,
Sa
and
kanya
then naging
bumagsak.
agriculture secretary pa siya, wala namang nagawa nung panahon na agriculture secretary siya. It has become too complex an issue. It's not easy to solve.
But I still question that 17% drop. I know you had given me reasons for that. Pero ang laki ho kasi nung 17% eh.
Hindi, kasi meron ng tampo, o sabihin natin, meron ng resentment ang tao dahil nga the quality of life has really gone down, no? What we call the middle class are now part of the new poor, no? Because you can hardly afford it with the wages that they are getting, no? And the prices that they have to cope up with, no? Pati kuryente, pati lahat, no? Lahat ng utilities. So, meron na talagang simmering na galit. Pero pumutok itong kay Duterte na ito, yun, nagkumbulsyon na, so to speak.
Could it also be the proliferation, they say, of fake news? That's what, again, Undersecretary Castro was saying. We have that statement made by the Undersecretary earlier today. Let's listen.
Ang respondents dito ay 2,400. So sa 2,400, hindi naman po ito nagre-reflect ng sentimiento ng kabuuang more than 100 million people or Filipinos in the country. Ang mga respondents ba ito ay nakakatanggap ng totoong news o naiimpluwensyahan ng fake news?
Lang po yung sinabi niya, 2,400, does this represent the 100 plus million Filipinos? But we all know that in every survey, it's really just 2,400 more or less, plus and 3 minus marginal error. Ganun naman ho ang ating nakasanayan.
That is the
na
usual
po.
response of those who are not happy about the survey results, no? But we know better, no? We should know better. I can forgive her. She's a lawyer. She's not an economist or a statistician.
Let's go to her second point, the proliferation of fake news.
But both sides naman yung fake news, eh. Di ba? I mean, both sides have their armies of trolls. One has the DDS, one has the Marcos loyalists. Kanya-kanyang ano yan, eh. They're just tit for tat.
You don't think one is more powerful than the other? Or one
Fake
is more
news.
supported by compared to the other?
This is an election is always a situation where bad news sells more than good news, no? Criticisms are more listened to than achievements, so-called achievements. Laging ganyan yan. That's why I was perplexed at the reaction in some of the talk shows, some of them also here in Billionario, where some of the so-called political analysts or pundits were saying, bakit daw yung black, para medyo dystopian na ad ni Aimee and Sara, yung itim, bakit daw, it's too negative. Trabaho ng opposition maging negative, eh. Hindi naman trabaho ng opposition magbigay ng hope. Ang trabaho ng opposition is precisely ipamukha dun sa mga botante na napakasama ng kondisyon ng buhay natin
Basically,
ngayon.
to criticize the present administration.
Oo,
So now that you've talked about
Oo.
that, ano ho bang epekto nun, yung pag-endorse ni VP Sara kay presidential sister, Senator Amy Marcos.
Yeah, when I saw that ad and the endorsement of VP Sara to Senator Amy, I looked at the Pulse Asia survey, but I looked at the results in every region. No? Hinimay ko bawat region. From Region 1, CAR, lahat yan, all the way to BARM. Okay, looking at Amy, she's number 1 in the Ilocos region. Still, no? That means Ilocos, CAR, and Region 2. And that is 11% of the national vote. No? Then, because of that, she's doing number 9 in Balance Luzon. No? But she's doing number 8, surprisingly, in NCR. No? NCR, nag-number 8 siya. Probably because she was in the news quite often because of the hearings, and prior to that, yung budget, mga tira niya doon sa 2025 budget. But in the Visayas, she's down to 20.
Baba.
And in Mindanao, she's down to 24. No? So talagang dun ang problema niya, Mindanao, Visayas. So, if the Sara
Did you say,
endorsement...
can you read that 20 and 28? Visayas is 20
and 20 sa Visayas, 24 sa
24.
Mindanao. No? That's the ranking. No? Now, if the Sara endorsement, no, is able to turn that around and puts her in the miski 11 or 12, panalo siya.
Ang laki ng
iaangat niya.
Yeah.
Because Mindanao is 24% of the vote. The Visayas is 20%, of which more than half, 10.5%, is Cebuano speaking. Yun ang baluarte ni Duterte. That was how I was able to convince then Mayor Duterte to run for president. I went to Davao, no, and in the presence of Sonny Dominguez, Bingbong Medialdea, Bongo, of course, and Speaker Alvarez, Congressman Alvarez pa nun. I showed him the map and I said, you're the only candidate who can speak for the Bisaya nation. That's 1/3 of the vote. And I'm not counting the Bisaya in Metro Manila and other parts of the country. Yung kalaban mo lahat taga Luzon or kaya si Mar was Ilonggo, no? Mananalo ka, kaya ka kako yan.
So let's go back to what you were saying, that it still needs to be proven if a VP Sara endorsement will actually help Senator Amy Marcos make it to the magic 12. But what are do you think that
But
malaking tulong
the wind
po
is
yun?
beneath her wings. The wind is beneath Sara's wings. No? So, look at it now. Si Amy umalis na doon sa alyansa. So, the alyansa has 11 candidates na lang. Yung number 10 pa doon, ay yung
Isa pa.
11, yung isa pa, namamangka ngayon sa Dalawang Ilog. Siya ngayon yung si
Villar.
Camille Villar, no? In-endorse din ni Sara. Yung Duterte, 10 lang yon. No? Ngayon naging 12 sila. Ang kinapos
Yun na
ang
nga po.
alyansa.
It's Duterte plus 2.
Plus 2.
Okay. But balikan ko lang po si Senator Amy. What is your fearless forecast? Will the endorsement of the Vice President make her win, bring her in the Magic 12, put her in the Magic 12, or do you think yung mga Pilipino, kasi meron din daw ibang nagsasabi na, bakit mo naman nagawa yan sa kapatid mo? Or there are still people who are questioning her loyalty to the Dutertes because after all, she is a Marcos.
Posibleng may fallout yun. Ano? But I'm not seeing that fallout in the Ilocos region. Because in the Ilocos region, the brand is Marcos. It is not Bongbong. It's Ferdinand Marcos Sr. No? And Amy is also a Marcos. No? So
it's not going to affect that.
Maaring konti. Maaring may konti. No? And then again, sanay na rin naman ang tao doon sa magkapatid. Abby Binay, Nancy Binay, Cayetano, Alan and Lino. Diba? Ang dami na niyan eh. Wala na yan. JV and Jinggoy. Ano na yan? Sanay na tao yan. It's not going to be... Ang question lang is within the next 3 weeks, dapat talaga magsipag si Amy at magsipag si Sara. If they do their roles very well, this is a fearless forecast. I'm sure Ronald Llamas, my friend Ronald Llamas will disagree with me. I expect 4 of Sara's candidates. Sabihin na natin Team Sara. 4 to make it, possibly 5.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm gonna stop you there because alamin natin sino yung 4 or 5 na posibleng mapasok sa yung fearless forecast sa Magic 12 of the senatorial candidates come May 12. We'll be taking a very short break. We'll be back with political strategist Lito Banayo. Stay tuned. This is On Point. Welcome back. You're still watching On Point with us, political strategist Lito Banayo. So, iti-teaser natin yung mamaya ko po babalikan yung fearless forecast na 4 to 5. I want to talk about Congresswoman now running Senator for the Senate, Camille Villar. The Vice President also endorsing her at yung kanilang ad sa mga magkakaibigan, walang iwanan. Gaano ho ba katindi kapag sinabi nilang sa mga magkakaibigan, walang iwanan?
Malaking bagay yun. No? What's going also for Camille, of course, is the fortune, the Villar fortune. No? And in the last weeks of the campaign, that matters a lot. No? Kasi kailangan lang naman idagdag ka dun sa listahan ng, ng sample ballots ng mga local candidates. No? That can mean a lot. No? So, when we're talking of, kanina sabi ko 4, possibly 5. Okay, you have Bongo and Bato, sure na yon, pasok na yon. You have Aimee, Villar, and Marcoleta. Any of those, minimum of 4, max of 5.
So ang maximum mo would be Marcoleta at number 5?
Yeah.
Obviously, you would...
Well, Marcoleta because of the Iglesia factor.
Yeah. Pero ibig ko sabihin, para po sa inyo, doon sa tatlo, Aimee, Villar, and Marcoleta, mauuna pong pumasok yung the two women.
Not necessarily. Basta doon sa yung tatlong yon, either dalawa lang doon ang papasok or yung tatlo all papasok.
Pero sinabi niyo po kanina, may isa pa na namamangka sa dalawang ilog. And then that is Congresswoman Camille Villar. Now, that's what I want to ask you. How does the endorsement of the VP to Camille differ? Or would they be similar to the endorsement to Senator Aimee Marcos?
Hindi, magkaiba yon because ang problema ni Aimee, yung apelyido niya. No matter how she is a Marcos. So yung galit ng mga tao dun sa pagkakabuwag ng unit team at tingin nila na api si Sara and then of course si Pangulong Duterte pinakulong sa ICC, no? Sobra yung backlash noon kay Aimee. Pero hopefully nga for her magamot yun ng endorsement ni Sara, who is for all intents and purposes the titular head of the opposition now, no? Yung kay Camille naman, ang problema lang ni Camille, NCR or rather Las Piñas is too small a baluarte as against the Ilocos region which is 11%. And I was also looking at the names of the first 20 candidates. Nag-iisa lang palang Ilocano si Aimee sa lahat ng kandidato in the first 20 or even up to first 24.
Okay.
So malaking bagay yun. Ilocanos can be very clannish, parang Bicolano rin yan na kapwa no. So that is a factor. But on the other hand, I guess for the Villars, they're going to contribute a lot to the local candidates to make sure that her name, Camille's name, is in the sample ballots of the local candidates.
Should she leave Alianza or should Alianza say it's time to choose, or is there even time to say you should choose?
If I were in Alianza, if I were behind the scenes in the Alianza, I would recommend that we jettison her. Tanggalin natin, no? Kesa leave it hanging. But on the other hand also, if I were working for Camille Villar, I would also recommend na pumalas na siya. Para malinaw na malinaw siya.
Kung sinong totoo niyang kaibigan.
Yeah, she has to choose. Either way.
What's the effect of not doing that? Not choosing? For her?
Hindi magiging...
Two things, for her and for bagong alyansa.
Hindi magiging ganun for her, hindi magiging ganun katindi yung support na makukuha niya because of the endorsement. Probably in Davao to work, the Davao region, but in other parts of Mindanao, like northern Mindanao, Zamboanga, and even in Cebu, baka hindi ganun kalaki.
And what is the effect of that if Alianza says...
It will demoralize Alianza. Kasi pag tiningnan mo, why am I saying for PDP or for the Sara Team Sara, possibly 4 to 5. Meron ka pang isang independent na mukhang mananalo, si Ben Tulfo. No? So, 6 na yan na out of the alyansa. Magka-crowd ngayon yung mga number 6, 7, all the way down to 12 ng alyansa, sila maglalabanan to be inside. No? So, this is going to be a very suspenseful election.
Sige, tignan po natin yung Pulse Asia and SWS survey. Let's go to the latest one, the SWS survey. 9 out of 12, if their elections were held today, would have made it to the magic 12. 9 out of the PBB, Marcos bets na lang, and Sara bets, no? So, ang pasok lang would be the obvious. 3.
Bongo Bato, Ben.
Yeah.
Bongo Bato, Tulfo, no?
Yes,
Ben
sila po
Tulfo.
ang pasok.
Pero,
But then,
pag tinignan mo yung numbers, dikit-dikit, the margins are within the margin of error or
Right.
just slightly lower than the margin of error. So, yung next 3 weeks, pukpukan yan.
and you're right when you said that there would be a number of alyansa bets na maglalaban-laban. Well, simply because sila naman talaga yung mas kilala at sila yung nasa admin, di ho ba? So talagang sila lang yung mag-aaway. And dito po sa huling SWS survey, this is where I find it a little odd. Senator Ping Lacson is ranked number 12. 11. Nag-11 siya sa SWS. And then in Pulse, which was the last survey prior to this one, Senator
3 weeks
Senator
ahead. 3
Ping
weeks
Lacson was number 5 to, well, yun lang nga, number 5 to 11.
Ang kasi, yung mga surveys, hindi naman pag sinabing Visayas, lahat ng lugar sa Visayas or sa Mindanao, parang binobola yan Kuminsan, what is representative of the Visayas, kung saan ka pumika.
Baluarte ni
Oo,
someone,
Baluarte,
di
oo.
ba? Oo.
So, ganun yun.
What happens, I guess, now with the impeachment? I mean, sabi nga nila, it's the elephant in the room. So you have a VP Sara who was saying supposedly she was not going to endorse anyone, and now she's endorsed Senator Amy and Congresswoman Camille Villar. So bilangan na ho yan ng numero sa Senado.
Actually, mas maganda sana na yung trial nagumpisa right after the impeachment was sent to the Senate. Because then, nakakasiguro siya ng si Bongo, si Bato, si Amy, ganon. Si Camille siguro. Plus, yung mga ibang kandidato, no, pwede niyang kondisyonan or pwedeng kondisyonan ng mga Duterte loyalists na dadalhin ka namin sa Mindanao at sa Central Visayas, pero yung boto mo sa impeachment. That would have been an ideal picture. But nobody saw it that way. Everybody just went through with Cheese Escudero saying na masikip na masyado ang oras. Posible yun. So ngayon, Sara also has to make sure that she gets more than 8 votes. No? So if she gets 4, she already has 4.
4 now in
Kung
the
assuming
upcoming
na manalo
elections.
siya ng 4 or 5, no? Kanya yon. Yung iba dyan, magdadalawang isip. No? They will look at the results of the surveys, and if they show that they won, even if they lost in Mindanao, nadala na lang ng kanilang Luzon votes, no? They're going to have second thoughts. Plus you have Jingo, you have Joel Villanueva, you have
You have Robin Padilla also
Robin
there.
Padilla, Zubiri, Mig Zubiri, na taga Mindanao din yan. I mean,
Na natanggal bilang Senate President.
no? And then, how would Alan Cayetano vote? How would Mark Villar vote if Camille Villar owes a lot of utang na loob kay Sara, no? So, yun ang ano.
How do you see everything maybe panning out in terms of this last trust and performance rating of the President? Ibig ko pong sabihin, yung mga kandidato sa alyansa, sila ho ba ay medyo, hindi naman siguro yung word is nervyos, but are they maybe looking at, many other options because of the low or the drop in the trust and performance rating of the President?
Oh, that is to be expected. No? In the first place, kaya nga tinawag silang 24 independent republics because they won by way of a national vote. no? And then the tragedy of the Allianza coalition, the mix of 5 or whatever number of political parties is, on their own, sikat yung mga yun eh. Kinuha nila yung mga yun based on the survey ratings. Sikat si Soto, si Lacson, si Pacquiao, si
Lapid,
ganon.
si Revilla.
Wala naman yan talagang loyalties na matagalang loyalties sa administrasyon. No?
Who among them do you think will be most loyal to the administration?
Well, the artistas, no? Lapid,
Revilla.
Bong Revilla, possibly Manny Pacquiao, if he makes it. No? Because if Mindanao does not vote for Manny Pacquiao, he's gone.
One last question. Senator Bongo, why is he number 1 now? Well, he was always playing dun sa 1, 2, and 3. Pero in the last surveys, and even in the last, I think it was SWS also, not this one, but the last one, nag-number 1 na rin siya. Pero ibig ko sabihin, naunahan na niya si Erwin Tulfo. Why is he number 1? Is it because he's a Duterte, you know, kilala siya bilang tao ni Duterte dahil ba sa malasakit centers? What is it?
It's a combination of both. One, the malasakit centers, and yung kasipagan niya mag-ikot tuwing may sunog, may baha, may disaster somewhere. Masipag na tao. Pangalawa, when he was the SAP or the Special Assistant to the President, he was the go-to of every mayor and every congressman. Whoever tatawag kay Bongo, hihingi ng project dito, project doon, naaaprubahan ni Presidente Duterte. So may mga utang na loob yan. No? So malaking bagay yon. That's why he never went down beyond 3 or 4, di ba? O ngayon, because of the Duterte sympathy, the emotions, no, that emotional tsunami, tawagin natin, he's number 1. And ang laki ng lamang kay Tulfo, kay Erwin, who was before that the number 1,
I think the latest SWS survey puts him at 45%. Erwin Tulfo is at 43%. Yung pulse, yung
Sa pulse
medyo malaki,
10
parang
points
7
yata.
or
Oo
8.
naman,
Yeah,
yeah.
doon medyo lumaki yung, you're right,
Yeah.
actually it's 10.
10
10
points.
percentage points. 61.9,
Yeah.
Senator Bongo. Erwin Tulfo is 51.1.
Yeah.
And ano yan na nag-shift yan? Because mas mataas si
dati,
doon
Yeah.
sa previous Pulse Asia survey.
Yes.
So, again, you're saying that the arrest helped
Oh yes.
Senator Bongo make it to the number 1 spot. Do you think he's going to stay there? You think he'll be number 1?
I believe so.
All right. Political strategist Lito Banayo, sir. Pleasure to have you. Maraming salamat
Always
po
a
sa inyong
pleasure.
oras.
Thank you.
And that's On Point. Join us again tomorrow, 7:30 p.m. here on BNC, the Billionario News Channel. I'm Pinky Webb. Thank you for watching.